So hey everyone, good to see so many people here coming to this conference, and thank you, to Corinne and Willem-Jan for hosting today, and of course all the other editorial members who are making this happen. So that's really awesome. I'm Sjoerd, you can also call me Stuart, and I'm together with Willem-Jan, the co-founder of Serious Scrum. Thank you for joining my short and cheerful talk on creativity in Scrum. So first, what is creativity? And who better to define it other than John Cleese? We know it from Monty Python and Fawlty Towers. And he's done a great talk on creativity in management quite a while back. And I'll share the link at the end. And it's really inspired my career. And for me, Scrum is simply a catalyst for creativity. And I would say if I hadn't seen this talk, I may not have ever been a Scrum Master. And his quote is about creativity, that creativity is not some possession of some special talent. We're all creative human beings. It's all about the willingness to play. And when you are finding better way of doing things, you are being creative. And isn't this what agility is about? This is exactly what the Agile Manifesto tells us to do. We are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. And it's not just developing software. So play is serious business. For me, work and play are really inseparable. Scrum is a game, and it's played. And serious Scrum is about serious play. And you don't master Scrum alone. And often we see Scrum Masters going on this individual learning journey, but they're not bringing their team along. We go on these individual trainings, getting these certifications all by ourselves. And then it's us having to kind of spread that knowledge, bridge that knowledge gap with practice, and that we find very challenging. And a way we can bridge this big and scary knowledge gap with practice is through play, by learning together, facilitating learning together. And we're in the business of changing the game. Development is a creative endeavor. Maybe some engineers, developers don't consider themselves to be creative, but they constantly go through a creative process of solving complex challenges. Often it's going back and forth, trying different things, figuring out what works. It's really tinkering. It involves a heck of a lot of exploration and experimentation. And when we play, we learn. Yet most of the time at work, we are not very playful. In fact, most of the time at work, we are impatient, busy bees. With playtime, however, we can change our ways of working. We can take our time and imagine stupidly simple things that work. After all, simplicity is the art of maximizing the work not done. So stupidly simple things that work. Can we think of some stupidly simple things that work in our work? Let's also hear from you in the chat. I'm going to give some examples of stupid, simple things that work. And they may be scary, they may not be scary, but play is also about courage and taking some risks now and again. So, for example, deploying something small straight to production. That's a stupidly simple thing that often works. Also very scary. Leaving the room often works. I had, for example, a product owner who came to me and said, I really need your help. My team is just not mature. They're not self-managing. They're not planning. They're just sitting idly during a sprint planning. They don't come up with ideas. They're not making a plan. So I observed the sprint planning, and here the product owner was in front of the room, standing in front of the big whiteboard, the product backlog, the sprint backlog, standing around with a sticky note and a pen in his hand. And asking the team, okay, what's your plan? What should we do next sprint? What should we do this sprint? How are we going to do this? Let me hear it from you. Give me some action items and I'll put it on the board. And indeed, the group, the team wasn't very forthcoming with that. So he asked me, can you think of, a way to solve this? It's really been bugging us for ages. I said, yeah, leave the room. Leave the room? What do you mean leave the room? Yeah, leave the room. Give them the goal. Tell them what you'd like to have achieved before the end of the sprint. And leave the room and let them make the plan. And we tried it and it worked. A pirate hat is another stupid thing that works. Bringing a pirate hat to your office and wear it during your sprint retrospective and asking your team, like, can you think of ways where we can break the rules today? Now that's fun. And that's why we're here. As a Scrum Master, I like to know what's blocking your team, what's slowing them down, what's bugging them. And if they could be a pirate for one day, what cheeky things would they do if they could break the rules? It works. We come up with really great and creative ways and plays. A magic wand. Imagine if you had a magic wand and with nothing stopping you, what would you change? Go around the office waving your magic wand and cast spells, fix this broken chair, get this extra monitor, get a headset so you can focus. You can really make a difference, a big difference in making work more enjoyable with a simple technique like bringing a magic wand. So let's drop some other crazy ideas in the chat for everyone to check it out. It'll be cool.
Hello. Hey.
Yeah. Hi. Didn't want to say something? Yeah. So about this talk, it's going to be short. It's just a small warning to managers, or if you're ever introducing this talk to your manager, they may not like this. Because creativity will make their subordinates question their paradigm, spend time doing nonsensical things, undermine their rigid protocols. They will take control over their way of working. They will gain confidence, and worst of all, they will have fun while doing all of that. So if you think that playtime is unproductive and you worry impatiently when people finally get back to work, now then this talk may be not for you, or maybe all the more reason it is. So how can we encourage and facilitate play? For me, this is all about, I say becoming more successful in the end. For me, it's all about play, failing until you succeed. And that takes a bit of courage. And it's really about doing less lecturing, listening, watching and discussing. Actually, it's about doing less than what I'm doing right now. I haven't done a talk for a very long time because most of my sessions are really collaborative. We're going to do more of this. We want our Scrum events to be truly eventful, not a conclave where people bicker around the table. Throw those tables aside and start collaborating. And you can design your events this way. How can I facilitate my event in such a way that people will be doing more talking than I am, that they will be writing, brainwriting, moving about, playing, mapping, drawing. So why play? So let's hear it from you. We're going to do a chat storm. So we're going to add some answers in the chat. I want you to kind of type it into the chat, but hold the submit button for now. Don't press submit just yet until I say go. So what according to you are the benefits of creative playtime at work? So if you could think of some ideas, let's write it in the chat. And then after about 15 seconds, you can hit that submit button when I say go. Yeah, let's go. Let's see. It's a thunderstorm. Wow. Yes, gamification. We just had a really nice talk about that. Give a breath. That's nice. Yeah, sometimes you have to fake the energy to create the energy. Yeah. Great examples. Keep them coming. So some benefits of creative play. Players actively engage rather than passively attend. There's a difference between an attendee and a participant. I call them players. You know, we're in the game, we're playing. When you're in a game of Scrum, you're a player. Share a sense of accomplishment. One of the big pitfalls I think many Scrum Masters fall into is they focus too much on the things that can be and should be improved. They focus on the negative rather than calling out the good things that you're seeing in the behavior. You know, hey, great, thanks for being open about that challenge. Awesome, glad we stayed committed to work through this challenge. That took courage. You know, that's giving your team a signal, hey, we're doing something right, let's keep doing that. And that creates a positive loop. But if you keep hammering the negativity, you'll create a negative spiral. They'll lose confidence in the idea of being a team. You know, they can never be good enough because you'll find something else for them to improve. And of course, that's the spirit of Scrum, that continuous improvement. But do that through encouragement, a shared sense of accomplishment. You know, when you participate, your attention increases. And after such a long day, I'm already happy that some of your retention is still here. And hopefully, you know, you're going to forget a lot about what I'm saying today, but hopefully you'll pick up a couple of key things. So when we play, the focus shifts from the facilitator to the players. We train from the back of the room. We, as Scrum Masters, facilitate being in the back of the room, not standing in front of the class like I'm doing right now. And it's all about applying brain science. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. You know, we want self-managing teams. They need to be in control. They need to be encouraged to be creative. And often organizations discourage creativity. Psychological safety, again, a great talk just now. And I won't go too deep into this, but play promotes psychological safety. It's all about getting comfortable, being outside of your comfort zone together in a safe space. And in this way, we can learn and support each other. So I'm creating a playbook for Scrum Masters, like in sports. And again, Scrum as a game, it equates itself to sport. You know, it comes from rugby. And you know, great sports coaches, they have a playbook. And I think that, you know, that could be very useful for Scrum Masters as well. So I'm creating a playbook with lots of fun and creative plays that you can try to really promote creativity. One of the plays is just a pirate had already explained, it's already on there, but there's so many more. And to help you facilitate this creative play, I will give you access to this book. It's still in progress, but you can join the beta edition, and you will keep getting updates for free if you get this one. And I'll have a discount code for you at the end of this talk. Yeah, I'll share it, George, at the end of the talk. Yeah, so creative play, you know, here are some pictures from the Road to Mastery where we play together with other Scrum Masters. Also, I take teams on their own Road to Mastery because, you know, Scrum is a team game. We master it together. It's not just you as a Scrum Master, you want to do it with your team. So we apply all of these plays in a wonderful learning journey that brings everybody along. So we master Scrum together. And we're really using a lot of creative plays, but also physical objects. We're using all of our senses: taste, smell, hearing, seeing, touching. And these plays, they abide by 4 basic rules. They're short. Estimates for sustained attention are roughly around 20 minutes. It naturally depends on the type of engagement. For a boring lecture, it may be no more than 30 seconds. That's why, as a general rule of thumb, I like to keep the play short, preferably between 5 and 10 minutes, but no more than 30. And I apply brief mind and body breaks in between. So you get a chance to refresh and get the oxygen flowing to the brain again. Simple, it's generally self-explanatory. It encourages self-organization. As a facilitator, I could just step aside and let them play around. The more rules, the less people will think for themselves. So yeah, if you can explain the play to a 5-year-old, then you're good to go. They're small. We serve content in small slices, not big cucumbers. People like picking small sizes. Maybe by the end of the day, they'll have eaten a whole cucumber, but if you serve a whole cucumber, that's just too big to digest. The same with content. And also with group sizes, smaller groups are better, so break them up. Pairs, triads, quads. And shared learning creates transparency. So we're playing to get on the same page, to learn from each other. We also share the material, so you can reuse it, repurpose it, and play it in different ways yourself. So it's not just about the play itself, it's also how they play out in context to other plays. So when I facilitate an event, for example, we start by creating connections, what do you already know about the subject, exploring the concepts a little bit deeper. The players will engage with the material themselves, teach it back to each other, figure out how they can apply it in their own practice. Their own concrete practice is very important. How applicable is it really to me? And then we draw conclusions from that. What was it like to try it? What did we learn? What did we unlearn? We inspect and we adapt. So I talked about brain science a little bit. How can we make learning really truly stick? It's to make these plays really multi-sensational. We gain new knowledge through hearing, sensing, touching, feeling, tasting, smelling. I'm not sure if I already said that. Our senses really work together as a team, which makes sense, right? So that's called multisensory learning. For example, of our senses working together, if I say the word green, it also triggers your visual system. So, and also I think one of the secret many trainers know is that half of the success of your training is not the content you serve, but also the food and drinks that you serve. Give them another reason to come back. And some of you may know what the meeting rooms smell like after some teams have already been in there. The damp, still air, the lingering, sweaty smell gets even worse past lunch. Absolutely not ideal for learning. You want fresh content, but also fresh air. So smell is also important, as well as movement and touch and feel. Imagine what your players, your team members, your audience is really feeling. Most of the time it's just their butts growing numb and their legs getting restless, as yours might be right now. Movement creates blood circulation and gets the oxygen flowing to the brain, which helps learning. And when we play, our brain enjoys itself. It releases chemicals, makes us a little bit high on these 4 oxytocin, gives us that lasting feeling of safety. It's through positive social interactions. It helps us open up to each other. And it also creates that feeling of belonging if the mix is right. Dopamine, it motivates us. It's that, moving towards something desirable. And your brain will not reward you for doing something merely because you are told to. You have to discover and find out what motivates players, what genuine outcome will be desirable for them. Serotonin plays a role in pride and loyalty and social status. That's why that accomplishments, shared sense of accomplishment is so important. Recognition is important. We recognize what people do and what they're contributing, and stressing and emphasizing those things is really meaningful and important. Then we have endorphins, which help us push ourselves beyond our comfort zone. It's where courage and commitment comes into play to endure these hardships, to work through these tough challenges. It's all part of the game. All right, another question for you. Changing light bulbs is simple, right? But what about the light bulbs in our minds? So my question to you is, how many agile coaches does it take to change such a light bulb? And you can drop your answers in the chat. We see numbers. 0, 0, 0. Candles, good. Let them work in the dark. Yeah, so the answer to how many project managers does it take to change a light bulb, the answer will be they're always in the dark, right? How many agile coaches does it take to change a light bulb? Well, it depends. Context matters. So we need to embrace some truths. Although we like to enjoy our work, sometimes we just have to do the Monday stuff and work on chores. Not everyone cares as much as you do. As a Scrum Master, you're likely the biggest Scrum geek in the team or the organization, and don't expect anyone or everyone to be as passionate about this as you are. They won't care about the rules of the game and these plays maybe as much as you do. And it can be disheartening and, frustrating, as we've all been there. But through creative play, you can really get that engagement going, figuring out what's in it for them. And players love breaking the game, and the field is rarely in perfect condition. We're expected to know the rules and stick to them, but we're also expected to break them when we need to, when it benefits the play. And great stuff happens when players break the rules. It's, if you want them to exceed expectations and defy the odds, they get to break the rules from time to time. That means there will also be some drama. Good. No creativity without drama, no creativity without conflict. People may bicker, sigh, grunt, argue, but they're openly speaking their mind, sharing their feelings, and that takes courage. However, it's only fruitful when done respectfully. And we can't all shine all the time. We want our players to feel like heroes. We want them to see them do awesome things. Hell yeah. But we can't shine all the time. We can create opportunities though. So thank you for this short talk. There's much more behind this. And if you can follow some rabbit holes and go really deep into this matter with me, you can meet me later in the Young Conference where I'll do a Q&A. I'll drop some links in the chat for you to get the playbook with the discount code and the talk by John Cleese, which I promised to share as well at the end. Thank you so much for being here, for believing us, supporting us.